morning. Just to give you some of the history of development of the statement, the first question, I guess, is why is it necessary? And it's necessary primarily because the two fields, early childhood intervention and early childhood education and care, grew up separately in an era when children with disabilities were either institutionalised in residential care or attended separate day centres to other children. Nowadays, obviously, this is not the expectation, this is not the way we live, so therefore it became necessary to work with the early childhood education and care sector to develop a joint statement on inclusion of children with disabilities, and through that process, to discuss and debate some of the differences in our history and some of the differences in our expectations for inclusion of children with disabilities. So we see this statement as a huge step towards inclusion of children with disabilities in early childhood education and care. I got these slides like not very long ago, so and no paper to back it up. So please excuse me if it's a little disjointed. So what were the concerns? There's a risk that children with disabilities are going to be left further behind unless we improve their educational opportunities in regular early childhood education and care services. And if this happens, children with a disability won't maximise their potential and participate. The joint statement on inclusion is a vision for high quality inclusion practices. It's a framework for policy and for program development. And it combines, most importantly, combines the evidence base of both organisations and both sectors. So how did we go about it? There was listening sessions across the country, one in each state except for Northern Territory, I think. We had two panels, expert panels, one in Sydney and one in Melbourne, and I was lucky enough to participate in the Melbourne session. A national survey, and I hope that most of you actually participated in that survey. Consultation to branches. I'm not sure what that means. Oh, sorry. Yeah, the number of the 15 threw me. So it's yes, branches of Early Childhood Intervention Australia and Early Childhood Australia were all consulted, and a final drafting process which again came back and forth between the branches, and the process was a process of reaching agreement. So it wasn't a quick process, it involved a lot of people and a lot of debate, but we've reached a position now that both sectors have agreed on, and I think that's a hugely important position to be in agreement on what inclusion is. So what is it? First of all, we state the position, then we state the underlying beliefs, and these are that children with a disability have rights, principles of inclusion and the ethics. The rationale for the statement and the actions, what we're actually going to do to implement it. The statement is that children with a disability have the same rights as other children, that every child's entitlement to access and participate in regular programs, and the needs for professionals to be resourced and supported to include children with disabilities. The first section on rights, and this shows the different places we were coming from that we had to reach agreement on. So ECIA's very much embedded in the rights of the child. ECIA is very much embedded in the rights of people with disabilities, and we had a statement on inclusion in mainstream education. The principles, ECA came from the principle of the best interests of the child, whereas ECIA came from the importance of families. ECIA has adopted principles of social inclusion, diversity and equity, and we have adopted principles of high expectations for every child and evidence-based practice in early childhood intervention. So you can see we actually came from quite not contradictory positions, but different positions that we had to reconcile in developing this statement. So what are we going to do? We are going to take action at 3 levels: early child education and care and early childhood intervention professionals, to give them the skills, knowledge and tools they need to facilitate inclusion. Going to work with service providers, educators and support professionals, governments, organisations and institutions, including education and allied health training providers. We need to get training on inclusion into undergraduate programs. And the actions will be around attitudes, the workforce, professional development, collaboration between the sectors, developing cross-sector understanding and participating in initiatives to improve the quality of early childhood education and care related to inclusion. So I think this is a great move forward and a great milestone in our development in working together with early childhood education and care services.